Well, welcome everybody. It's our early bird special of What's Up Wrestling. This is the early bird WWE SummerSlam prediction show right here at What's Up Wrestling. Scott Fishman is with me from TV Insider, Wrestling Inc., PWI et al. Thank you. You're an East Coaster.
Yes.
So, he's gotten a little more time.
Dedication. You could have been up all night. We don't know. So
you know what I've been doing. I could just have been up all night and just decided to pop on this show. But yes, so lots to discuss. I think the best way, Scott, is we'll go around the horn. We'll talk about each of the matches. You'll give your prediction. I'll give mine. And if anybody's in the chat with us and wants to pipe up their prediction, let us know who you think what you think will happen. I mean, I've seen, Scott, I don't know, I'm sure you have too. One of the great things about pro wrestling and the fan involvement is you'll see somebody post something on X, or maybe even you, and somebody else, what do you think the finish of the match will be? And you literally, I was reading them. There's some very creative wrestling fans who had some really great, especially on the Dom, Liv, Ria thing. They're like, what was the finish?
Right.
Do you see those a lot, especially with your posts, maybe?
I mean, coming from your world, the soap world, it's always fun to see that sort of thing when people are so invested in a storyline that they're going to give their booking of what's going to happen, rather than us like, we know something, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Where, for a lot of time, WWE was, you could see what was coming, predictability. I mean, there is, you think, all the time, like any good movie that comes out, though, is like, you're surprised by what happens, and that's the fun of it. So
right, the surprise is the swerve and the turn and the unexpected, which is what I always said. I don't see much of a difference story-wise between and wrestling, not athleticism-wise. All right, so let's start with our predictions for SummerSlam. I wanted to just say to you, what do you think? I know, and this is the key art that everything's going around. This is literally what I'm seeing as key art when you go to Peacock for SummerSlam. When you're on TikTok, it is the new Bloodline, which I think is an interesting. Are they here to take over SummerSlam? Is that what we're here to say? What do you think about this, guys?
I'm wondering if we're going to get some sort of gangsters entrance at SummerSlam based on this. But if I'm not a WWE, I guess they're looking at, like, if I'm just a casual fan or not a WWE fan or something like that, and I see this on Peacock, I'm going to be like, what is this? Is this some sort of gangster movie? Is it a TV show? Maybe I should give it a look. I mean, I'm looking at it from, that sort of the branding and aspect, but is this the biggest match that I'm looking forward to at SummerSlam? No, but when I look at this poster, it's pretty badass. So, years ago when WWE did the posters, a lot of times the star wasn't even the superstar wasn't even part of the show. So, I get that, but I think it's a pretty cool poster.
Are we to assume that by the end of this, the Bloodline is going to have everything, right? Which is a whole other thing. All right, so let's start. Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, for the Intercontinental Title. You saw last night's Raw. This time, Braun got a beatdown from Sami because it was looking too easy to me that, Braun kept running over Sami through this. What do you think? Is the title going to change hands?
Well, first off, I mean, look how angry they look. I mean, why do they got to be so angry all the time? I mean, I don't know. They just look so angry. I don't know. They need to find some joy in their life. I don't know. Go to Sami's show and have a good time. But I think it's Braun's time if they're really gonna go with him. At Money in the Bank, everyone thought that was going to be the case, but Canada, so maybe they delayed it. But I think it's delaying the inevitable here. So I think if you're going to go with Braun, this is the night to do it. A big SummerSlam, one of the biggest shows of the year. Certainly, Sami's not going to lose any steam. Losing the championship, there's always money in the hunt of a championship. And Sami's held it for a good amount of time since WrestleMania. So, I just too much momentum for Braun, I think, where I think in this case, the title should change hands.
I agree. I think that this is Braun's time. I think they've been the way they've structured it. He will win this. He will win. Sami's held it. I think it's getting a little stale. I can see Sami potentially reuniting with the old Bloodline to go against the new Bloodline. and when we get to Survivor Series or War Games or whatever might happen there, I think that Braun, he's coming out like an old Goldberg by literally spearing, everybody going down. And I just think that he has the momentum and they're giving him such a push. One of the things I wanted to say about last night's Monday Night Raw, part of this, they did these segments where Braun did a segment and Gunther was up in the seats and this one. And for some reason, I didn't love them. It kind of fell a little flat to me. Did you like all of them? Did you? Because I was wondering, did it feel like I like that they were taking people out of the elements and they were trying to do stuff with those segments? Yeah. I don't know if they worked 100% for me.
I just thought the show in general was, it just felt like, we just need to get to SummerSlam. So we have a show in between. We've done everything we can right now to push the story. So what are we going to do? So this is why we saw a lot of that. And it's interesting whenever it's a go home show these days, it's like they've threw everything at us for the last couple of weeks, that this last week, this Monday Night Raw is like, okay, let's get through. So, I mean, I'm a big proponent of, switching it up. And I actually thought it would have been cooler, I think, with Gunther in the seats to, like, I don't know. I like the sit down aspect of having the sit down interview and then going over it that way.
That's what I wanted to say. Exactly.
Yeah. So there's just some things that you need the traditional element as well when you're doing that sort of thing. So for that segment in particular, I think that would have done a little better.
Yeah, I think I would have seen Scott Fishman interview Braun Breaker sitting down. I do. There was something that forced about it, and I felt the same way you did. It's the go home show. We've already done all this. We got to just set it up again and again and again and again. Just to like remind people.
Reset the table. Yeah.
Reset the table.
But
yeah.
One more thing I want to add though is I do appreciate they did not add matches at the last minute. Like they could have easily put the Wyatt match against Chad's group at SummerSlam, but that just shows you like they are thinking ahead, like 2 steps ahead. They're like, okay, we have Raw coming up. We have a show to do and we want people to watch it. We want to make it special. We don't have the same, because before it was like rinse and repeat. We would see rematch, pay-per-view rematch, or we would see, the same matches over and over again. And I think now they're kind of really taking a good look at that. And especially when you look at SmackDown too, there's some SmackDown matches that you're like, why isn't this on the pay-per-view? And I love that idea that they're spreading it out, letting these matches breathe, letting the matches with the most build be on the show. You earned your spot, and that's how it's going to be.
I agree. So you don't think that at the last minute then on SmackDown they would add a rematch with Jade and Bianca and Alba Fire and all that?
I mean, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, but I mean, it's certainly not needed. And I almost hope they don't, because I like the formats that they've been going with, the way they're breaking the cards down. So
it's been so much better. It's so much more easy if you're not there and you're at home and you're watching on Peacock. It's a tighter 3 hour. You're not investing 5 hours of stuff, so it does work much better. Okay, here we go. Logan Paul versus LA Knight for the United States Championship in Logan's hometown, in Ohio, in Cleveland. Do you think he loses it in front of everyone, is humiliated because people don't really like him, or do you think the hometown boy retains the title?
I think if another case, LA Knight has had so many had opportunities, on big matches, and then he loses. So I know wins and losses don't always matter, but I think in this case, I think a win here would do that for him, unless they're gonna continue this story where LA finally gets the win at the end. But for me, I'm a stickler for I want to see LA Knight finally get the win. I mean, there's only so much that fans can take when they're watching, one of their favorite wrestlers and the reactions he's getting but if they see this guy again, after all this time lose, I don't know if it's going to go up well for LA, moving forward when it comes, but stranger things have happened. But in this case, I think another title change here.
Yeah, see, I'm not so sure, because originally I thought, well, if they're bringing Logan with the U.S. title to Ohio, which is his home turf, would people like him there? And would you really do that? Because, they usually, but then again, I look at the Drew McIntyre thing and that got messed up. True. And
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, would they do that? Would they take it? Would they mess it up for him? And as far as LA Knight, I've been worried that, do you feel he still has the same amount of heat that he had? It feels like it's dipped a little bit, or do you feel that he's still right there as one of the top baby faces right now and people are going crazy for him?
I think he's a little bit getting lost in the shuffle a little bit, and I think that comes down to every time there's a big match and opportunity, he comes out on the losing end, and and then people just are starting to wane on him because of that.
So really, this would be the good way to give him the push.
Some more steam. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm on the fence on this match.
I can see that.
I'm on the fence on this match. I really am. I don't know if Logan would drop it in Ohio, but it could be a big. Maybe it's part of a storyline for him moving forward. So I'm torn. Maybe I'll go with Logan Paul. I want LA Knight to win. Let me just say that. Okay. All right. Here we go. Now, the soap opera of the night is part one is Ria Ripley trying to get her title back from Liv Morgan. Mysterio will be at ringside, obviously, or do something or interfere in the match at some point. This is what the one I saw everybody guessing online how it was going to go down. Was Dom really working with Liv? Will Dom help Rhea? Will he accidentally help Liv and do something stupid if he tries to interfere? What is going to happen in this match? And does Rhea get her redemption? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm thinking I want to see Liv and Dom. I think Liv and Dom together. They're like we said on the last show. I just see like an Edge and Lita type dynamic between the two of them. And there's just too much that over the topness that we saw with Liv, which was really cool, by the way. But they're just pushing that a little more. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. And they're pushing how Dom and Rhea are together, and they're they got back together, and it's like this thing. And I don't buy into that. I think there's more to this story. And Rhea solo, right? Like she doesn't. I hate to say it, but Judgment Day is a great group, but right now, I think Rhea is skyrocketing to the top right now, and she doing it solo and in this scenario with Dom and Liv, I think will be a great thing. I think we've kind of extended our time with Rhea and Dom, and longer than anybody I think ever thought. I mean, I love the dynamic between the two for so long, and to keep it fresh, I think it needs to go in this direction. And Rhea doesn't need to win a title that quickly. Right away. I think there's more to this story to tell, and I think adding that layer and that change will do that.
I'm with you 100%. And also it's amazing, don't you think? Look at where Rhea Ripley was. She was very hated. We love Rhea, right? She's like, we're rooting for Rhea. This is how good the whole thing is and how good she is. And I remember interviewing her at WrestleMania 39 in LA. And I remember asking her about how did this pairing with Dominic, you maybe have talked to her about how did it come about? And she was like, no, we were just paired, like it just kind of, we didn't know if it would work. And we just kind of paired, we didn't know each other. And I was like, so it's amazing what they were able to create from really not having much of a history at all, which is what I thought was great. Did you talk to her about that at some point?
Yeah. It was pretty much the same, something organically that happened and see what happened. Yeah. Just like the Judgment Day itself is like you take these group and either it works or it doesn't, or you make it work. And I think in this case, it kind of, you see it evolve over time. And that's a testament to those involved too. It's like, if you aren't that good at doing that, you never know how this group would have been. Like maybe Rhea was like, why are you pairing me with this guy? Like I should be alone, or I should be. But she was open-minded. She went right into it. She saw the direction, the creativity with it, and ran with it. So I think kudos to everybody involved for like going with it and listening to the audience. And that's so important. That's something a lot of times WWE didn't do in the prior regime, is they didn't care what the fans think. But I still am a firm believer that that's your litmus test a lot of times, is you don't have to go all the time, but you have to see what's going on here and see the reactions. And they obviously have seen this with what's going on with Liv and Dom and Rhea, and kind of went all in on it. And you see the result right now. People are interested.
100%. I do think it is going to be a Dom turn, and I think he's working with Liv. and I think it gets all messed up, and maybe, that's the end of that. But who wins the match? Liv?
Yeah. I think Liv.
Liv winning the match.
There's more in Liv winning keeping the title here.
Yeah. And the other thing about Dom is I think people underestimate how good he is at playing dirty. Like the innocence of like, I just accidentally, everything's happening. And he's always like hanging in the back of the Judgment Day. It's just like this perfect, he's really good at his character. He's really good. I don't know if people appreciate that. Like he really is.
Yeah, and then not only that, but here's a guy. SummerSlam's of course a big match, big event for him. When you think back to the custody for Dom, it's such a cool come full circle moment. He's not even in the wrestling in the match, but he's a big part of the match at the same time.
He's not even
scenario here.
He's not even in the match, and he's a game changer in it. All right, so we've got Liv for the win. Both for that. All right, now we've got Damian Priest versus Gunther for the WWE Championship. Last night, you saw Priest gave a beat down to Gunther after Gunther beat Finn Balor. But what do you think? I think we have the same person, but go ahead. Who's the match?
I'm going with Gunther here. I just think it's not, the timing is right. I mean, he's kind of been a slow ascension has been growing there with, when he wins the Intercontinental Championship, he has this historic reign. He wins the King of the Ring. There's just so much momentum going in. And then there's the story with Finn and Damian still to explore, and a title doesn't be needed for that. And that could add to the story. Finn costs, they made a whole big thing about Finn doing it alone, Damian doing it alone, Rhea doing it alone. But I think there's going to come a point where there's going to be a moment in the match where Finn does get involved and
absolutely
cost Damian. And then we're going to see the big breakup there.
Maybe the breakup will happen here, is what I'm wondering.
Yeah. Or it might be nothing, they just have the moment, and then on Raw we see the story
breakup. Yeah, I think there has to be some mess up there. And then maybe there's still a question in how it gets messed up. Did he intentionally screw Damian? Right. I think there has to be that little question. Did I intentionally do it? Or was I really trying to help you? Right? That I see that happening. Gunther is going to win this because, first of all, you had, what was he? He was the greatest Intercontinental champ of all time, 660. Didn't he have the all-time
longest reign of the modern era, or actually the surpassed Honky Tonk Man, I think. But
I think he did surpass Honky Tonk Man. But the point is, when did you think in our lifetimes we would see that? And he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, these long title reigns in general, I would never have thought. It's really interesting in this day and age with so much television, so much content that, these guys have been able to hold the titles, but also hold the interest of the audience and wanting to see these title matches, thinking, okay, he's going to beat him. Oh, okay, he's going to beat him. So another thing creatively that WWE is doing really well right now is making the titles mean something.
Making them mean something. But I definitely see Gunther, who's one of the greatest wrestlers that they have. He's got to have a title. It's time for him to ascend to this because he had that Intercontinental, and now he's going to be a champ, WWE champ. I think it's a no-brainer, and I do agree. When I was growing up, it was like Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, all these guys that I would go to the stores and get the WWE, the magazines. And I was like, wow, this guy's held the title for 8 years, 9 years. It's the same thing. I'm like, does anything ever? And I couldn't get WWE in Wisconsin where I grew up. We only had AWA. So I was living vicariously what was going on the East Coast through the magazines. And everybody I'm like, what is this guy? How could he be holding the belt for 10 years? I'm like, what's going on? Because it was insane. Even Vern Gagne, the old AWA who owned the company, he would have the belt for years. I'm like, why is nobody else winning? It's very different.
And people are still interested. People are still interested too. It wasn't even they're going to keep it just for the sake of it. I mean,
it was really interesting. All right, we got Bayley versus the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax, for the WWE Women's Championship. What do you say?
I think we have to watch out for Tiffany Stratton here, and so
I had time coming.
Yeah, but this one's a little unpredictable to me. I mean, I love the story Bayley and Nia have going back to NXT. I remember in that European show where all the fans were like chanting, they were singing along to that Bayley song that they go, "Hey, what's I want to know." Yeah,
Yeah.
But so I want to see. I think it's hard. It's hard for me. I could see Nia winning the championship and then Tiffany, taking the title. But I think there's more to them as a group right now. So I'm gonna stick with Bayley. I'm gonna go with Bayley keeping the title.
So on paper, to me, this is the dullest match. And so I'm like, what could we do to make this more exciting? And that would be if Tiffy Time runs in and cashes in on Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
To me, that would be the best. Her alliance with Nia's kaput. She runs in. Maybe Bayley's won and something happens there.
The only reason I am not sure about this is because
Too soon.
she talked about bedazzling her Money in the Bank briefcase for, and decorating and stuff. And we haven't seen it yet. So it's still under construction. So if she's going to cash in and, all that work is going to be put into this briefcase that she's probably going to show off at SummerSlam. And then she's going to use it at that very moment. I don't know. I just feel like there's something there that we haven't seen the briefcase get.
You make a really good point. I forgot about the bedazzling.
I'm still waiting. She said she was gonna do it, and I'm still seeing. I'm seeing tape. I'm seeing it all after that poor thing got beat up by Bayley. Yeah. I want to see. I want to see this transformation.
You're right. So, that is bad. Yeah. Unless she got it all bedazzled and she uses it and it's all nothing happens to the briefcase.
Yeah. And glitter explodes everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to say, if that does not happen and Tiffy Time does not come in and with the Money in the Bank briefcase, I go Bayley. Bayley was retaining. I don't see Nia. I don't see it.
Yeah. I see Bayley retaining and then either, having that moment or Tiffany. The match is so bad, straining and stressful on her. And Nia attacks her after the match. And then that's when Tiffany strikes. That could be, but yeah, when it comes to this match itself, I can see Bayley retaining the title.
Or Tiffany forces Bayley to decorate her briefcase with her.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that. I don't know. I need her to finish the story here.
Finish the story. Okay. Sorry.
Oh.
What happened to my? Sorry, guys. All right, there we go.
More angry people. Okay, we got some more angry people.
All right,
okay.
All right. We got angry people. I actually think
angry people.
I do too. It's a good photo of CM Punk actually when they did the art. Drew's angry. Seth is Seth.
It's like the world. It's like the world is ending, and Seth is like, "Yeah, let's do it."
He's like, "Let's do it." Yeah. So we've got CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Seth freaking Rollins, a special referee. Everybody's hearkening back to the matches we talked about last time where there were special referees, before. How do you see this going down? What do you think is going to happen? Does Seth inadvertently cost one of them the match when he's meaning to because a lot of fans have been saying Seth is going to try to hit Punk, but he hits Drew or vice versa. He's meant to hit one guy and he hits the other, which costs him the match. Or do you think it's more than that?
I think Drew wins here. The poor guy has so much bad luck and I think here it's going to happen where Seth is going to play some sort of role in this. But at the same time, I think Drew is going to get that win, whether it's some sort of shady tactic or some sort of random thing that occurs here. I mean, a lot of people are pulling for an AJ Lee run-in because the family bracelet. Are we going to see that? Maybe something happens what brings her outside, which we talked about in the past. We'd love to see it. There was talk about, I think Roxanne Perez was talking about how she wanted to see AJ back. Punk was talking about, trying to convince her to do something. I mean, this would be the perfect spot, a dream scenario. But I don't know, just part of me thinks it's there's more to this. You had so much build that it's not just going to be one match. And the way to keep it going, you have Bad Blood right around the corner, and Punk versus Drew in the Bad Blood match, or all three of them in a bad. Maybe they'll do a triple threat Hell in a Cell, or Hell in a Cell, whatever they're going to call it,
Really?
whatever scenario. Maybe it's not going to be Hell in a Cell, but
Yeah.
I could see it, the three of them locked in something and having a match at Bad Blood. And one way to do that is, you have Drew winning the match, Seth, CM Punk thinking Seth cost him the match. Seth is like, no, I didn't, or something, and then just having some sort of, three of them still tied together leading into next month, leading into October, because we still have, September to go through. But I think there's more to this.
I think Drew wins. I'm with you on that. I think the fallout of this, though, is Seth Punk for a minute. Like, I think there'll be a rematch
next show, maybe.
Yes.
And then you do the triple threat.
Correct. I'm booking it like that. I'm saying Drew wins. Seth messes it up for CM Punk. Seth and CM already can't stand each other. That's a thing. Then you've got that all parlays into Bad Blood, and everybody's beating each other up mercifully.
Yeah.
And I do think Drew has to win. If he doesn't win, do you realize that means he keeps losing everything?
That's what I mean. Like, you gotta, if you're gonna keep, like, you've done so much with this story. Like, this is, for me, is the main event of, whether it's main event of SummerSlam. You could put it wherever on the card that you want. This is the match people have been waiting to see. So, and to do that and then not have it to continue. I mean, people love it. Social media. The lengths Drew has gone to on social media to get
Jack
people
Perry
talking.
thing. We have to talk about the Jack Perry thing.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Can you tell me? So, what was your reaction? How did you first see the Jack Perry? Were you just on X, or how did you?
Yeah. I was, I was in the car. We were going somewhere, and I was like, "This cannot be real. Like, is this AI? Is this like Photoshop or whatever?" Kind of. I mean, I could not believe. I mean, and then I think, okay, Drew lives in Nashville. AEW is in Nashville for Blood and Guts. They connected, but I'm just trying to think of how the conversation went. Did they have to go to WWE and AEW? Did they go on their own?
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, Drew deleted it. But who cares? Like, he knew what he did. Like, he knows people have already taken it. It got over 1 million views within a matter of time, broke the internet for that small amount of time. It's everywhere, even if you delete it. And he deleted it, so whatever. But you could take that forever you want, but it doesn't, you don't need to have it on there. And apparently Punk, was comfortable with it from what we've heard, but we never know. But then I'm thinking, on the AEW side of things, is this a way of getting water? Is this water under the bridge now? Or, like, there's so much to go by this, but I think
there's so much to infer you infer it. There's so much, it leaves it so open.
You want to feel that way. Like, okay, we're moving past everything. It's getting to the point where it's been a year, just about a year since everything happened. We're in this, both of them are in good places within their careers, and they can kind of move along with it. I know a lot of the hostility was aimed at Jack and Punk, but I think for Punk, it was more on the Buck side of things and, other outside forces. Like, I know he went, there, a lot of it was Jack, but I think that's the reason why he's not as, like, he would be comfortable with it. Because I don't think he was, like, he's mad at his attitude and everything that happened, of course, and angry, but the circumstances. But I think he's still, I think with the Bucks and other aspects, I think he dislikes a little more.
Right. I was going to say, this will mark CM Punk's first match back, though, since the tricep injury, correct? At SummerSlam?
Yes. So, after Royal Rumble, yeah.
Right. So we have not seen him really wrestle a match. How do you think he will be? It was really interesting because I remember, like I said, I was in LA at AEW Dynamite when he injured himself off the rope with his leg. And then he was taken out and had that surgery. And then he was out for months. And he keeps injuring himself. I mean, what do you think he's been going through to kind of get ready for this match, to get ready to go back in the ring?
I mean, like, looking at him, clearly he's definitely been hitting the gym. He's definitely been putting in the work on the physical side of things. When it comes to, like, being in the ring and having those reps, he he has the access to wrestling rings and things like that. So you got to believe he's been training leading up to this match as well. So I don't think he knows, all eyes are going to be on him when it comes to this. But I just think mentally, like, how do you go into this matchup where, there's a lot in your head probably. People are, it's always going to be out there. Oh, is he injury prone? Is it going to happen again? Like, and then you're going into this physical match, so that's got to weigh on him heavily too. That mentally, is he ready? That's got to be the question for me.
I feel so for him because I've had 3 spinal surgeries, neck fusions. I've torn my shoulders. I've had so many injuries. And when I try to go back to the gym, it's like, I get it. Like, mentally is the hardest part, actually. You're like, can I get through this without hurting myself? And it really is, you have to kind of, like, it's really hard to, there's a lot of PTSD, I would assume, associated with it, just injuring it. So anyways, Drew's going to win. That's my pick. Seth and have its offshoot of that. All right. In the main event, which we believe is the main event, even though we think the other one's the main event, we have Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Solo Sikoa. All right. First of all, on paper, this is an underwhelming main event, unless something happens. So we'll go to that in a moment. What is your thought?
Yeah, there just doesn't do anything for me. I know Solo's come a long way from NXT, and he really ran with the ball. He's been giving a lot of opportunities, and he's kind of shined in those places. But him at the forefront, I'm still, there's not a buy-in for me as him as the leader, especially when you have Jacob Fatu there. Like, I feel like he's like overshadowing him with his presence and just the look and things. He's not really, saying much or whatever, but just him being there, and just, there's like an intensity about him that, you see it when he was in MLW and all around, and he has, such a great story too. But he seems like the threat. Like, Solo just doesn't come off as, I don't know what it is. There's just something about where he doesn't come off as threatening as it does. But I guess that's the point, is the leader's always like the one that's like not like always sicking the henchman on everybody else. So I get that's kind of the way, that's the dynamic that I'm seeing. And then Cody with the Bloodline, I think at this point, it's like, I want to see him move on from it, but it's going to go into the Survivor Series and things like that. So, but at this moment, actually, it may not. I mean, you might have Roman leading another group of Samoans and others involved. Maybe Cody won't be. Maybe he's going to defend the championship. I'm not sure, but I think this has done some harm to Cody's title reign, in a sense of like, it's just not an interesting opponent in my eyes. But I don't see Solo winning this match. But the question is, how do you keep, if you're going to keep the Bloodline in the mix, how do you keep them strong? Maybe get the beat down after the match. But I'm thinking Cody's gonna retain here. The question then remains to be the fact if you're gonna see a Roman Reigns appearance or not. Is it too soon? The Rock just finished filming his project. Are we gonna see a Rock appearance? So are we rushing things? Are we gonna see Paul Heyman? Just so many things. Some people were talking about the placement of the match. If it's the last match on the show, there's got to be something else than Cody retaining. It's just not going to have that same oomph. It's not going to get as many people talking. So if you see Cody versus Solo as the last match on the card, then we know something's up. If you see it at the opening of the match, the opening of the show, then, we're not going to. But there's got to be something to this match if you're going to put it on last.
There has to be something to this match, because I cannot believe, I am so with you on this. I'm not a big fan of Solo Sikoa's in-ring personality. I don't think he's got the bravado to do this. It's kind of underwhelming. I don't think he's that great a wrestler. I think Cody's title reign has been underwhelming because of the opponents he's had. I don't think having him twice with AJ Styles, this one, the opponents just haven't been that great or appearing threatening to the title. Also, I think that, oh, there you are. You're back. Also,
sorry, the Wyatt's got me for a second.
Wyatt's. I was like, Oh my God, Uncle Howdy's coming. Great graphic there. I was gonna say, yeah, I don't see it. I think Cody's reign has been underwhelming. Unless they like shockingly pinned him, I can't imagine. But then my thought is something happens. There's all these run-ins at the end or something with the bloodline, and maybe Randy comes out and
Oh,
tries to.
Randy too. Yeah.
I think Randy comes out, and there's the interesting thing to do is have Randy swerve Cody. That's the other way it could go to set up Cody Randy. If you are not going to bring back the tribal chief.
That's a good one. Yeah. I like that. I forgot about Randy. You have the subtlety of, him sitting with him on the bench and Cody wanting to do it alone. And Randy being like, you forgot about me. I want the title too, or something like that. Or yes, I think that's more.
That if we're not going, and you let me know your opinion on this. If we're not going with with Roman coming back, then the other thing has to be Randy to me.
Yeah. I don't know. The problem's going to be though, people. If you don't deliver Roman, that's just the nature of the beast. People are thinking it's going to happen at SummerSlam. And if it doesn't, is it going to disappoint people? That's going to be the tricky thing. But I think we need to stretch this out a little long. I think Roman comes back and then you do it at Survivor Series. And then you have like leading up to Survivor Series and then you go into that. But I think, this would be a great way to build up some more sympathy for Cody and I know Randy's super popular right now, but he has the ability to kind of like a light switch, turn it off, and have the fans turn against him. I mean, he's been a mega heel before, and that's one way to do it, beating down Cody and like, oh my God, why would he do such a thing? And that builds the interest back up. So definitely could see that.
Yeah. So to me, it's either Randy, Roman, or if Roman does appear, maybe he's just on the ramp. Maybe he doesn't come in and there's a stare down between him and Solo. Or if Solo was to win the title, I mean, which would be weird, but what if Solo wins the title? He's got the title. Cody loses, and now the tribal chief come back. He's like, I'm gunning for my title off of you. I mean, I don't know.
That would just be such a meaningless loss to me after Cody had worked so hard to finish the story. Quote.
It'd be so bad. I would lose my. That
would be a bad move in my book.
Right. Here. It'd be a 2-year investment, kind of like down the toilet there. All right. I think we did it. Unless I missed a match, I think we got it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what's great about this show is they're giving the matches time to be spotlighted. The stories have been developing and kind of going through there. It's an interesting card. All title matches with the exception of CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, which doesn't need a title. So that's just interesting to me on that. So it'll be interesting to see on Friday if there is another match, like you said, added at the last minute, but I don't see it because you also forgot to mention The Miz is going to be The Miz is going to be hosting SummerSlam, and we're going to see some segments with him and R-Truth. You're going to see Jelly Roll perform Liar.
Yeah.
So you have the matches, but you have other things going on. That's going to take up some time. So
do you think the Bloodline is going to be in a tag match?
Well, they're on Friday. They have a tag title match, which I can see them winning the tag titles.
They're going to win.
Yeah.
Right? Because
then it's Johnny's hometown, though. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be disqualification. I really don't. I hope Johnny doesn't lose the title in his hometown because
I know I like Johnny,
big Cleveland guy too. And when they won titles, it was so nice to see them. And I feel like they barely had time to defend them, so I just think that would be a terrible thing. But
I know
I would on Friday.
But I'm worried. Right, it's on Friday. It's on SmackDown. I am worried though the way it's going. They're going to the Bloodline have all the titles, not Cody's title, not the Undisputed title.
I'm hoping for a disqualification. I don't really like disqualification endings, but I'm hoping for that in that one.
All right. So, guys, we will be back with whenever we're going to figure out when we're connecting to deliver our What's Up Wrestling WWE SummerSlam post-show review. So stay tuned for that on the Michael Fairman channel and look for the time and date this coming weekend or early next week. All right, Scott. Great to talk to you. I've had my coffee. I'm now awake. Thank you for this early bird special.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll have some little, some of the older ladies that they like to get their morning yoga in, or cycle, and they're watching us. So that would be a nice thing.
Right now,
so maybe
Scott. So Scott, tell everybody where they can find you on X. Your handles on X is
yes. So it's SM Fishman, and then you can search me on Facebook and Instagram. I don't do much on Instagram, but a lot of my work is on TVinsider.com. And then I do SCS, so SCS Scoops, SCScoops.com. Occasionally on PW Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. All right, guys. Have a great day. Scott, thank you so much for being here. Everybody have a great SummerSlam, and we'll be back after the show.